Balkan Insider.
In January 19, 2020, the well-known Greek restaurant was full when four masked individuals entered the establishment and opened fire. The attack lasted only 30 seconds. In front of their wives and children, the high-ranking members of the Škaljari clan, Igor Stamatović and Dedović, were shot and killed. This was not the first or the last murder in the gang war. Over 50 brutal murders and an end to the assassination attacks of the two rivaling clans is not in sight. Whether in Spain, a crowded Athens restaurant or the Vienna pedestrian zone, once on the death list of the two feuding clans, there is no escape. Sometimes the victims were blown up by car bomb, sometimes riddled with machine guns. The clans even hired war veterans as snipers and sometimes used silicone face masks for camouflage. The overwhelmed and corrupt Montenegro police seem powerless and, with a few exceptions, most of the murders have remained unsolved to this date. Today we present you previously unknown details about the Balkans drug clans. Welcome to our channel, Balkan Insider. Today, Rulers of Darkness, the power of Montenegrin drug clans. In today's video, we are discussing one of the bloodiest gang wars in Europe, which has claimed the lives of over 50 people since 2014 and whose end is still not in sight. We are looking at the depths of the Balkan drug gangs, which are no less brutal than the Mexican or Colombian cartels. This is a 6-year feud between two Montenegrin drug clans that left a trail of blood all over Europe. But in this brutal and merciless war, it is about more than just supremacy in the European drug trade. The center of these clans is the holiday resort of Kotor, located on the picturesque Adriatic coast, the Montenegrin Corleone. The illegal businesses of the Kotor clan were running smoothly until 2014, when 200 kilograms of pure Colombian cocaine were stolen from the apartment of the gangster Goran Radoman in Valencia. At the time, the Montenegrin was in prison in Cuba for a traffic offense. The legendary, now deceased former footballer Maradona personally helped him out of jail at the time. When Radoman returned to Spain, the drugs had disappeared from his apartment. Radoman claimed they were stolen from him, others did not believe him. This was the reason that the Kotor clan split into two groups, named after the two suburbs of the holiday resort of Kotor: Škaljari and Kavač. This was the beginning of the ongoing, murderous gang war over control of the international cocaine routes from South America to Europe. Of the over 50 murdered people, including 6 innocent victims, most were murdered in Montenegro and Serbia. But also in Bosnia, Germany, Austria, Spain, Greece and the Netherlands. The killers acted highly professionally. Sometimes the victims were eliminated by snipers, sometimes blown up by car bombs. The feuding clans not only hired gangsters from the Balkans, but also professional killers from South Africa and the United States. Most Europeans know the small country of Montenegro, with its dreamy beaches and idyllic mountains, primarily as a holiday destination. In the 1990s, strong mafia structures developed in the wake of the brutal civil wars in the former Yugoslavia, smuggling important goods such as cigarettes, gasoline, and weapons for the state, as Serbia and Montenegro suffered under UN-imposed sanctions at the time. Italy's coast is not far away, so there was soon a close collaboration between the Montenegrin and Calabrian mafia. After the end of the war and Montenegro's independence in 2004, the Montenegrin mafia, which by that time was already well connected to the government and police of the small Balkan country, turned to extortion, protection money, drug trafficking, weapon trafficking, and human trafficking. For a long time, the Darko Šarić clan was the undisputed number one in the drug trade on the Balkans. However, after this organization became so powerful internationally, the Serbian government had to intervene under pressure from the US, and the globally operating organization was dismantled in the coordinated international action called the Balkan Warriors by the DEA, CIA, Europol and the Serbian Secret Service. Even the connections to the highest Serbian government circles, such as the former Interior Minister of Serbia, Dačić, were of no use. the minister was actually filmed by the Serbian Secret Service meeting with convicted members of the Šarić clan, and the convicted criminal, known as Misha Banana, gave the interior minister a wiretap-proof phone. In the aforementioned international operation, investigators struck in several countries on 3 continents. Off the coast of Montevideo, Uruguayan authorities seized 2.2 tons of cocaine and arrested the crew on a yacht. At the same time, numerous members of the Šarić clan were arrested in several European countries. And when boss Šarić turned himself in to Serbian authorities after a months-long flight in 2014, the small Kotor clan took advantage of this weakness. The small Kotor clan took advantage of this weakness. They murdered Šarić's deputy Dudić and gradually took over the lucrative business of transporting cocaine from Latin America to Europe. Radoman, who was held responsible for the disappearance of the drugs in Spain, was also the first victim of the 6-year-long gang war. The killer acted coldly. He waited patiently in the underground garage until Radoman parked his car and tried to take the elevator up to his Belgrade apartment. But when the elevator door opened, the killer surprised him and fired him with 25 bullets from a fully automatic weapon. Only hours earlier, Podgorica, the Audi of one of the Kavač leaders, Vukotic, exploded. He was lucky that he had left the car with his small son just a few seconds before the explosion. The second victim of the 2 split groups was Montenegrin politician Saša Marković, who was assassinated from an ambush and, as it later turned out, had the misfortune of being mistaken for his relative with Goran Đurić Kavač. But this did not help the businessman who had escaped through the mistake. He was shot and killed a short time later by a sniper in his own restaurant, falling to his death from the terrace into the sea. The Bosnian Serb Popović was charged with this treacherous murder, as his DNA was found on the found bullet casings. The victim had already survived 2 assassination attempts. One of them happened a week after the murder of Radoman in Valencia, Spain, where Đurić Kavač was shot but managed to escape. The other assassination was to be carried out by South African Gregory Ferraris. However, the martial artist had been followed by the police since his illegal entry into Montenegro and was arrested before the planned attack. The South African claimed he had been hired by Kavač clan member Alexander Marković, whom he had met during the admission test for the French Foreign Legion in France. He also told the prosecutor that he agreed to kill one of the heads of the rivaling Škaljari clan, Đurić Kavač, for €50,000. For this thwarted assassination attempt on the Montenegrin, the South African was sentenced to 5 years in prison. His employer, Marković, received 6 years in prison. The Đurić Kavač family was hit hard. The Đurić Kavač family was hit hard 3 times. Less than a year after the murder of Goran, his relative Radomir was shot and killed from an ambush. Another relative named Miloš narrowly escaped when he was grazed by a bullet on his apartment balcony. All 3 were members of the Škaljari clan. In the same month as Goran Đurić Kavač, 2 other clan members were murdered. Sikmo, who used to work for the Montenegrin police special unit, was shot and killed in Bosnia's Mostar, and Iwan Lopicic was killed outside his home in Montenegro. Therefore, 2015 was a black year for the Škaljari clan, and 2016 began just as bloody as the last one ended. The Kavač clan took cruel revenge. It should be noted that blood revenge is still common in Montenegro, even though it was banned by the communists in the 1950s. The revenge of the Škaljaris claimed the lives of Kavač clan members Radovan Matović and Sretkan Lachović. Matović, also known as Rakila, was killed in February in Lachović. The security chief of the Kavač clan, was shot in his car. Less than a week later, the body of a high-ranking member of the Kavač clan was found on the banks of the Danube in Serbian Novi Sad. However, this time it was not a professional murder, but rather it is said that Dudić fell into the Danube and drowned after a fight that the Kavač clan took cruel revenge. It should be noted that blood revenge is still common in Montenegro, even though it was banned by the communists in the 1950s. The revenge of the Škaljaris claimed the lives of Kavač clan members Radovan Matović and Sretkan Lachović. As the Kavač clan gruesomely avenged itself, the most spectacular murder attempt of the two rival clans probably took place on September 22 in the prison of Spach. Like in a Hollywood movie, inmate Dalibor Đurić was fatally shot in the courtyard of the Montenegrin correctional facility as he was on his way to the fitness room. The shooter shot him from a hill not far from the prison. The prisoner should not have had access to the open area because the authorities were aware that the life of the clan member was in danger. After that, mutual murders happened at increasingly shorter intervals. The next victim of the out-of-control gang war between the two rival clans was the businessman Barita. On behalf of the Kavač, the killer fired a hail of bullets on Barita, sitting in a cafe on the coast of Montenegro, from a scooter. In addition to killing Barita, the wildly shooting murderer also killed two innocent people. The owner of the restaurant and the gynecologist Sechović. The two were simply in the wrong place at the wrong. It was now clear that the former code of not killing women, children, or innocent people no longer applied. The Škaljari clan had indeed struck back brutally, but another event was to turn against them. Namely, the murder of the leader of the hooligans of the Serbian club Partizan Belgrade, Aleksandar Stanković, known as Sasha the Mute, whose club controlled the drug trade in the capital. After the leader of the so-called Janissaries was riddled with bullets in his Audi in the company of a prison guard, the Serbian Interior Minister Stefanović declared live on television, at a special press conference, the fight against organized crime. The 2 years later arrested boss of the Škaljaris, Vukotić, is said to have ordered the murder of Stanković and paid for it with cocaine worth €300,000. He was extradited to Serbia in 2018 and sentenced. While the government of the country imposed a travel ban on all members of the two feuding clans and arrested numerous criminals in nationwide raids, investigative journalists from the Serbian independent organization KRIK accused the government of only taking action against the Škaljari clan while the opposing Kavač clan was hardly pursued by the Serbian authorities. Furthermore, the journalists uncovered numerous connections between the criminal organization of the murdered Aleksandar Stanković, also known as Sasha the Mute, and the Serbian police and members of the Vučić government. Members of the Janissaries were even said to have been hired as security staff at the inauguration of President Vučić, during which critical reporters and citizens were violently removed from the celebration by security staff. Additionally, the independent journalistic organization KRIK claimed that the son of Serbian President Danilo Vučić was closely befriended with members of the hooligan organization, the Janissaries. This is said to be supported by numerous photos showing the president's son together with clan members of the Janissaries, such as Aleksandar Vidićvić, at joint celebrations and events. In one of the photos, the two are seen at a World Cup football match in Russia. The investigation into the connections between the criminal organization and the government was suppressed by the authorities, and the journalists involved were threatened and physically attacked. Despite this, the journalists continued their work, leading to the resignation of several high-ranking government officials in the following years. The government-controlled Boulevard Press even wrote that the clan was planning the murder of the Serbian President Vučić. Alarmed by the numerous murders and especially by the uncompromising approach of the Serbian authorities, the gangsters of both clans only drove armored vehicles and often changed their hiding places, which they had all over Europe. Equipped with fake passports, they disappeared in various European countries. Despite these radical security measures, most gangsters were later killed anyway. The year 2018 and the following years should see the gang war escalate again and cost another 30 lives. Gangsters were traced and executed one after the other throughout Europe, from Spain via Vienna to Athens. No one will escape the revenge of the two feuding clans. Who will take control of the international cocaine trade? The battered Škaljaris or the mighty Kavač clan? Or did the European police succeed in breaking up the Montenegrin mafia? Subscribe to our channel, Balkan Insider, to not miss part 2.
Balkan Insider.